Moses has said little. He finds himself alone in a new land, a refugee in London at only 11 years old. It was here, amidst unfamiliar streets and uncertain days, that football became his anchor. He once shared, "Football helped me settle." Those first games with Cosmos in the Tandridge League? More than just matches. They were survival. At Cosmos, Victor's raw talent began turning heads. And in his first 2-week trial with Crystal Palace, they didn't just like what they saw something rare. Settling into Croydon with a foster family, Moses' path to becoming a professional was only beginning. At 13, he wasn't just another player in the Tandridge League. His first coach, Tony Loisi, saw a 1 in a million potential in him. Without Moses, he'd say, we were worse than ordinary. One moment stayed with Loisi for life. Victor, with a daring play, nutmegs the goalkeeper, chips it over, humiliates him, and leaves the poor kid in tears. Even the boy's mother ran on, handbag swinging, scolding Victor for his cheeky brilliance. Loisi pulled him aside afterwards, saying, "No matter how good you are, stay humble." And that humility, mixed with talent, would soon make him irresistible to clubs across England, until Crystal Palace came calling. I said to him, "Look, Victor, there's no way I would hold you back." And I asked him to come to Crystal Palace with me. Crystal Palace indeed liked him so much, he supposedly scored 10 goals on his academy debut, that they helped place him at Whitgift, a fee-paying private school, one of the oldest and wealthiest in the country, renowned for exotic peacocks prancing around their 45-acre property, and of course for producing academics and politicians with the occasional rugby player or cricketer thrown in. They had never had a football team in their 400-year history. To help change that fact, in 2001, so shortly before Victor Moses arrived, they hired Chelsea legend Colin Pates. Whitgift has since established partnerships with several local clubs, including Crystal Palace, Charlton, and even Chelsea. Bertrand Traoré, for example, was placed at Whitgift as part of his teenage upbringing, while not officially a member of the Chelsea Academy. By all accounts, Victor Moses excelled both in the classroom and on the pitch. GCSE results above the national average in stories of too many goals to count. In 2004-05, Moses led Whitgift to the final of the U14 Schools Cup, where they met Healing School in a final stage at Leicester City's Walker Stadium, now called the King Power Stadium. As recalled by John Malloy, the coach of Healing a decade later for a story in the Grimsby Telegraph, Whitgift won 5-0, Moses playing as a lone striker, scored all 5 goals. Just a drop or two in the bucket that included 50 goals for his school that season. Colin said this about Moses at that time: "He is far from being the finished article, but there is no question he is the most talented striker of his age that I have seen. He is strong, quick, and he scores goals for fun, and he just looks fantastic as a player." What is encouraging is that he has a great attitude. He has his feet firmly on the ground, and he is modest and level-headed. He almost has the attitude of a professional. If he scores 4 but misses 1, it is the miss that keeps him awake. He is going to have to work particularly hard if he's going to make it. But with his talent, it is up to him. On his youth-level debut for Palace, his coach Loisi described how he was almost scoring from the halfway line, and his talent became immediately apparent for those at the club. Strong, quick, and immensely skillful, he made his professional debut at 16 years old, despite having less football academy experience than his peers in the same age group. By 2007, Moses was in the Crystal Palace first team while still finishing school at the same time. He would become a first-team regular the following season, signing his first professional contract for 4 years, which he would never see out thanks to the Eagles' financial difficulties. The club went into administration, and Wigan pounced on the bargain. A mere £2.5 million changed hands as Moses joined Roberto Martinez in the Premier League in January of 2010. Wigan had barely escaped relegation the season before, and facing the champions of Europe to begin the new season, the outcome was never in doubt after Chelsea scored twice within the opening 10 minutes. Moses had gotten himself into a bit of a spat with Wigan management earlier in the summer. Dave Whelan, Wigan's chairman at the time, was not exactly known to be a most reasonable man, and had been linked with moves away for much of the off-season. Chelsea were among the interested parties. He passed his public audition with flying colors, terrorizing both flanks with his direct style, strength, and pace. Wigan failed to score, but that was mostly due to Moses being their one and only threat. Neither Branislav Ivanovic, nor Ashley Cole, nor Ryan Bertrand could contain him. A few days later, with Wigan accepting Chelsea's fifth and final offer of around £9 to £10 million, it felt like Chelsea got a bargain. A 21-year-old homegrown talent, an alternative option to the flair offered by the likes of Mata, Hazard, and Oscar, ready to grow right alongside the young, rebuilding new core of Chelsea. That was the plan, but his next four seasons didn't go as planned. Moses set career highs in appearances, 43, and goals 11 in his first Chelsea season, and that's despite leaving for a month to guide Nigeria to an Africa Cup of Nations title, collecting the Player of the Tournament award along the way, then didn't kick a ball competitively for the Blues for 3 years. Moses turned out for England as a youth international, winning the Golden Boot at the 2007 U17 European Championships, for example, but chose his birth nation when it came time for senior international football. Probably if I had waited a bit longer, I might have picked England, says Moses, but Stuart Pearce stopped picking him for the U21s. He would impress in pre-season and then be sent on his merry way to join the Lone Army. Liverpool, Stoke City, West Ham, all three had designs on possibly signing him permanently at one point or another, but due to injuries, inconsistent form, or whatever else, they kept passing. Moses would return, impress, be loaned out again. Rinse, repeat. After that, he made a series of temporary moves to what has been described as the lone wilderness by some. First, he joined Liverpool, then Stoke City, and lastly, West Ham United. Moses, perhaps surprisingly, wasn't considered an automatic starter at any of those clubs. Everything has changed for Victor Moses when Antonio Conte arrived at Chelsea. Moses once said, "Conte came to me in pre-season and said, 'I really enjoy watching you play, and I don't want you to go out on loan.' And then Antonio Conte happened, and for once, an impressive pre-season actually won Moses a place in the team. And then the switch to 3-4-3 happened, and suddenly the backup winger had become a crucial piece of the puzzle at right wing-back. After impressing new manager Antonio Conte during pre-season, Moses was included in the first-team squad. On 15 August 2016, Moses played his first league game for Chelsea in 3 years, coming off the bench for Eden Hazard against West Ham United in a 2-1 win. On 23 August, Moses made his first start and scored his first goal since his return in the second round of the EFL Cup against Bristol Rovers in a 3-2 victory. After back-to-back league defeats, Conte converted into a 3-4-3 formation, with Moses playing as a right-sided wing-back in the following match against Hull City. His performance as a wing-back helped Chelsea to a 2-0 victory and also earned him the man of the match. On 15 October 2016, Moses scored his second league goal of the season against Leicester City in a 3-0 home win. On 26 November 2016, Moses scored the winner in a 2-1 victory against Tottenham Hotspur and was named the man of the match. Moses played 40 games in all competitions for Chelsea in the 2016-17 season, scoring 4 goals. With Chelsea winning the Premier League title, Moses became the Nigerian player with the most Premier League appearances for a title-winning team. Moses courted considerable controversy during the 2017 FA Cup final against Arsenal, which Chelsea lost 2-1. Having been booked for a foul on Danny Welbeck earlier, he was given a second booking, resulting in a red card after diving in the penalty area. He became the 5th player to be sent off in an FA Cup final. The match was played 5 days after the Manchester Arena bombing, in which 23 people, mostly children, died. Chelsea did not wear black armbands during the first half, but did during the second. Then Moses, while walking off the pitch, removed his and threw it to the ground, sparking outrage on social media, with many accusing him of failing to show respect to those that lost their lives. It felt like an eternity since Victor Moses was rampaging down the right flank under Antonio Conte in Chelsea's 2016-17 title-winning campaign, as well as the following season where the club won the FA Cup. The passionate Italian manager brought the out-in-the-cold perennial loanee back into the fold and made him a protagonist in his Blues side that made history by becoming the first side in Premier League history to claim the league title playing a back three. Indeed, Moses was a player reborn for those 2 seasons under Conte, at a time when the Wideman played arguably the best football of his career. Likewise, Marcos Alonso, who thrived for those twin campaigns in his favored role at left wing-back. The departure of the Italian coach Antonio Conte and arrival of another Italian, Maurizio Sarri, who plays a completely different style to the current boss of Napoli, Conte, was predicted to signal the end of the ex-Nigeria international as a surefire starter. Those assumptions were immediately validated as Sarri changed the team's primary formation from a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 to his preferred 4-3-3. Given Moses wouldn't necessarily thrive at right back and was instantly 5th-choice winger in the side behind Eden Hazard, Willian, Pedro Rodriguez, and arguably Callum Hudson-Odoi, a player who had played 62 times in the league, starting 54, was set to have his minutes slashed significantly. That prognosis turned out to be accurate, as the West African played twice in the first part of the season, before departing for an initial 18-month spell with Turkish giants Fenerbahce. That loan deal was cut short for a reunion with Conte at Inter, although the wing-back didn't quite enjoy the same success under the Italian as he did at Chelsea, as the Nerazzurri ultimately fell short in Serie A and the Europa League. Back at Chelsea after his time away in Turkey and Italy, Moses faced a similar situation as he did in the 18-19 season under Sarri. Even though Conte's replacement departed after a year at Stamford Bridge, the presence of Frank Lampard, a former teammate of the Nigerian, isn't expected to place the former Wigan Athletic attacker high in the pecking order at Cobham. While the triumvirate of Hazard, Willian, and Pedro have all departed for Real Madrid, Arsenal, and AS Roma respectively, they all have been replaced in some capacity by the club. On October 2020, Moses joined Russian Premier League club Spartak Moscow on a season-long loan with an option to buy. After spending the 2020-21 season on loan, on July 2021, Chelsea confirmed that Moses had completed a permanent transfer to Spartak Moscow, ending his 9-year association with the club. Moses won the 2021-22 Russian Cup with his club in a 2-1 Old Russian Derby victory over Dynamo Moscow. On May 2024, it was announced that Moses would leave Spartak at the end of the season when his contract expires. Now he is playing for Luton Town at English Championship. Once Conte used Moses' performance he was showing at Chelsea at the time and gave a comment that made Mourinho angry in the two coaches' famous war of words period. Moses has valuable abilities, technique, physicality, and the ability to cover 70 meters of the pitch. It is surprising that he is ignored. Pointed that Mourinho didn't use Moses. Moses is the sort of player who dazzles on the training ground, and his former captain at West Ham, Mark Noble, spoke of his delight at saw his talent finally flourish. On his day, he is one of the best and you cannot stop him, Noble once said. The one thing that has probably gone against him during his career has been his consistency, but he looks like he has that now and is enjoying his football. His former international and club teammate, John Obi Mikel, wished he had stayed to fight for his place at Stamford Bridge. I always told him, "Where are you going?" Every time he goes away, Mikel told Goal back in September. "Where are you going? I mean, you always go out on loan, but why? Stay here and fight. You are a very good player, a young player. You are quick, you are strong, you are fast, you can dribble. Where are you going? Why are you always running away from this football club?" Every time I talk to him, he says he wants to play football, and I think he has found a manager who will give him time, who believes he has got a lot to offer the team. I think he is ready to take up that challenge as well. I think it is the right time for Vic to be here. I think if he was here another time, I don't think he would have made it, but I think that this is the right time for him at Chelsea. The man he was signed to replace at Chelsea, Salomon Kalou, felt that Moses' form which he showed under Conte wasn't a surprise. He thought that people who knew him and worked with him saw his eventual breakthrough as an inevitability. I'm not surprised by Moses' form, Kalu said that time. He never had a big chance like this before. He never really had this chance to show off. A big player has to have the chance to play. It is difficult to show your skills when you don't play, and this season he has shown the quality that you need at this level. I am not surprised. He is a fast and technical player with great stamina to go forward and then to come back. Chelsea have supported him very well this season, and that is why I am not surprised that we are seeing the best of him. He will have a great season in a blue shirt. It is clear from the comments of his peers that Moses, like any player, needs the full backing of his head coach, and that is what he was get at Chelsea by Antonio Conte. This is Victor Moses' story from refugee to a main man at Chelsea,